Hello there. Good morning. And I'm starting my first video today going live about the gingerbread pattern. So I'm going to show you, this is what we're working on. I made a slight change to the snowflakes in the background, but this is what I'm making. And I'm going to be recording live on Instagram, and then I will upload these videos also to YouTube. So if you end up getting this pattern later or this kit, then you can follow along on the videos on how to do it. Now, I did print out step-by-step directions. And I'm going to have them out here today so that I make sure I follow it in the right order, because the order of how you do things is important in this pattern, and that's not always the case with embroidery. But this is the first one that I've done a kit with felt, and it can be a lot of fun to stitch with. So I'm going to get started and show you what comes in the kit and how we will begin to assemble it. So let me turn this around. You can see my pretty fall tree today. Isn't that nice? And we'll get centered here. All right, so I'll keep this up here so we have that. And, you know, on my work surface, I've got a coffee stain here now. Forgive that. But this is what comes in your kit. So you will get stencils, some stencil shapes that you will need. You'll get the hoop. Now, I will not have this available for a download. I'm not going to have this as a PDF pattern because of the felt and the stencils. I just felt like I needed to be able to put everything together for you. So at some point, maybe I'll run a sale on this kit too. But anyway, so here are we're only using 3 threads. I know that this is really dark in the video, but this is a brown and then white. And then we have a metallic white as well. Then we've got our piece of fabric and our felts. Okay, now the felt that's white is glittery. That's hard to see in a video. And then one side is just plain. So anyway, we're going to start with our tracing. And so you can take you're going to have more felt than you need for this project. So if you make a mistake, you should have more to work with. But we're going to take our heat erasing pen. And we're just going to go around the outside. We're tracing on the felt first. Now, the felt is a little tricky to draw on. So you're going to draw kind of with a bit of pressure, and you might want to, go like this. A couple quick lines so you can get a good shape. Okay? And then we're going to take the white. And what I did before was I actually traced it on the non-glittery side. So we're going to take our roof here first. And again, you're going to need to use a little bit of friction. It's a friction pen. You're going to go over it a few times like this. Just hold it down, go around the outside. And remember, this is heat erasing. So if your lines are messy, that's okay. It's going to erase in the end. Okay? And connect this here. Okay. So we've traced the snowy triangle roof on white felt. And then our step 3 is to trace the solid door shape on the light brown. So you will get a door shape, but I don't have mine right here, so I'm going to show you with this. So we're going to go trace a door shape on the light brown. Now, I already cut out Now when you cut this out, you might want to cut it on the outside of the line. That's what I would recommend. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to trace is our snowdrift. And I have this at the beginning because I want to show you. So as you can see, my snow, just for the sake of space on my cutter, this has corners, okay? But we don't want our snow to have corners. See, we want it to end up like this. So we're essentially setting it up so that on the white, so that this corner and this corner touches the hoop, okay? So we're going to tuck this down here and stick our hoop on top. Actually, I have in the instructions to just have the top hoop. This works better. The top hoop is a little bit bigger, okay? So put your snow inside the top hoop until it's touching on the sides, okay? Push it down. And we're going to trace that top snowdrift all the way over to the corners, okay? Take out your stencil and see how we have it rounded now. This is what we want. So you're going to take out your stencil after you just trace the top. And then we're going to go like this so that we have a piece that's going to go all the way from the edge of the house to the edge of the hoop. Okay. So we've got our shapes here. And we're going to cut out each of these. Now, the next, after we cut, it says to trace the house details. You can do this before you cut it, but you're going to lay your house stencil lined up there, okay? Oop, it's snagging. And this is going to be like, you're going to go in, you're going to be tracing in all of these lines. Remember to go a couple, like this. You're like scratching it as you go along. Trace your little windows. It feels weird to draw on felt, but this will work, okay? And then we need our little scallop here. When I talk about scallop in the pattern, this is what I mean. This is a scallop shape up here. Okay, so I'm just basically going through it and making sure I did each of those. And then I'm just going to mark these. This is kind of hard to draw in these spots. They're kind of small in the stencil. Okay, and then make sure you traced your door shape because we have to cut the door out. Okay. All right. So you take it off, and then you're going to cut each of those. Okay. This outside doesn't have to be super exact. Okay. So there's that. And I actually already cut a door over here and a house. So once you have your spots marked for the ermine stars that we're going to do later, you can just do 3 intersecting lines You don't have to draw these on. It's just a little bit of a guide. You could probably freehand these when you're done. Okay. And then the other thing you'll have to do is add a line down the center of the window. So a line down the center and then across the middle, because you'll need lines there. Okay, and you're going to cut out your door and trace the door lines from your stencil. And just make sure that your door fits inside your house. Okay? All right. I already had the house cut out. I have another one, so tested this a couple times just to make sure that I have the right order here. Now, I would recommend when you cut to try to go kind of outside your pen lines. Remember, we can erase this with heat. It's just not a big deal. And we're gonna trace the scallops here. And up to a point. Okay, so there's our snowy roof. And then what I do mention in the pattern is that we're gonna put our fabric in the hoop, and then we're going to lay each of these pieces on top just to check it and make sure that we aligned it all properly. We're gonna actually trace the house placement on the fabric just to make sure that when we're stitching it, we stay lined up. Okay, so here's my snow. Get this out of the way. So you're gonna lay down your smaller hoop, the inside, lay your fabric down on top, and then push this down over. You want it to be just barely loosened so that you can fit it right over the top. And then you're gonna tug. I do recommend using a screwdriver to really tighten up your screw. And make sure you tug the whole way around. You saw in the beginning I had a wrinkle here, but I should be able to tug enough that the wrinkle is essentially gone, okay? And I can also steam that out later. Okay, so there's our nice and tight fabric. It should sound like a drum. Tight enough. No little lumps here. And we're just going to lay it out. So we're going to want our snow to be right at the edge. And if you need to trim this at all to make the edge smooth, you can do that. If your corner sticks out a little bit, you can trim that off. But we want our snow to be right at the edge, and we want our house to be tucked just inside the snow and the door. So pull it out till it's just barely covered with the snow. Make sure you left enough clearance on top for the roof, the snowy roof. Okay, so that looks like good placement there. Okay, so I'm going to take this off and trace. And this is just to provide a guide so that I make sure I keep my house in the right spot when I'm stitching. Okay, Then you can take your door off. And we're going to start by stitching this onto the fabric. Okay. We are going to use the dark brown. And we're going to divide our strands. Remember, we can divide the 6 strands. Okay. So we're going to divide it so that we just have 2. There's 4 over here, 2 over there. I found where it naturally splits, and then I just pull it like this slowly, and it divides it all. I'm going to take the one that has 2. And thread your needle. And then in the bottom of our thread, we're going to go around. I wrap it around my finger like this. I roll. And then grab it with my middle finger and pull. And that gives us a knot at the end. However you like to do your knots, that's just how I like to do mine. I forgot to grab my embroidery stand here, which you don't have to use an embroidery stand. This is most of the time when I'm stitching, I don't use an embroidery stand. I pretty much only use it for filming. So it's basically for your sake. Now see, I just dropped my hoop there, so good thing I outlined my house because now I know where it should sit. Okay. Tighten this up here. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a running stitch just inside the edge of the house. And if you look here on the one that I finished already, this is what the running stitch looks like on the other side too, and I just went the whole way around. Okay, I did not do it around the door, just around the outside. So I think actually because I care more about the top placement of the house, I'm going to start at the top here. So I come down like a 1/16 of an inch or so and make just a little stitch like this. Go forward a little bit. You want to try to keep these as straight as possible, but when you make a stitch up and down, then you're going to go forward a little bit. You're going to what you're skipping is about the same length as your stitch length. So and this is pretty easy to stitch through. I'm using a smaller needle because I'm only using 2 strands. If you would like, I went back and forth on like, did I do a running stitch with 2 strands or 3 strands? If you would like your little stitches to be more bold, you can use 3 strands. I didn't want them to be super bold. And then when you get to the edge here, I don't have enough room to do one more stitch that direction, so I'm going to turn and go down. Now this is not super exacting. The main thing is you want your gaps and your stitches to be about the same length. You want to just try to keep them straight the whole way down. And I did not, I didn't have you mark this or anything like that because this is really just one of the easiest stitches. If you want to try to make markings for yourself, that's fine, but it's a little difficult on the felt. And also with this pattern, anything that is not like perfect looking is okay, because it kind of gives it this cutesy look. I mean, you don't want your stitches to be all over the place, but any a little amount of, if one's a little off or one's a little longer or shorter, it ends up just giving it kind of this cute little cutesy look, like a little cartoon gingerbread. So don't be too hard on yourself. So this first video is just the prep. We prepped our pieces and the layout and started stitching the outline of our house on. And I'm going to stop here for today. I think that's enough for the first video. And the next time I'm going to come on and show you, we're essentially going to be attaching the roof the same way, except the roof we're only going to be stitching on the top. We want the bottom of the roof to kind of stay loose, okay? Because we don't want it sticking down, or like, see how the stitches kind of depress the felt. We don't want it to be depressed around the edge. The snow is fine. So, but the snow, I'll have to show you a little trick with that so we can stitch right up to the edge of this. That's hard to do when it's in the hoop, and so I'm going to show you a little trick for that, but it's also in your instructions if you got the kit. So you can continue with this and I will show you here at the corner. Any corner that's not visible, this is going to be covered with snow. Just to keep the felt down, I'm actually going to stitch down into the fabric here instead of the felt. I'm going on the outside and just doing that last one so it really tacks it down to the fabric. Okay? And I'll probably do one, oops, right down here as well. Now, the benefit of a smaller needle when you have less threads is that it's more sharp, so it goes through the felt better. If you're using a DMC5 embroidery needle, it might be a little trickier to get through the felt. One with a tinier eye sometimes helps. Super sharp. Okay, so if when you continue on with this, you can just skip over to here because this is going to be covered up with snow. There's the chance that you could see the dark line behind, but remember, we're going to be putting a door there. And also the bottom is going to be covered with snow. Okay, so I will let you continue with that. You're just going to continue with your running stitch all the way around until you get back up to the top of the roof. And the next time I come on, I'll show you about attaching the snow and the door. All right, thanks for joining me. Hope that goes well for you. Have a great day.